Hello, welcome back. It's Friday and weekends, but I'm not going anywhere. So let's start reading. It's Friday 15th, so I'm half through the month. So I have to go through this weekend, next week, Christmas, get my pension, 29, pay a lot of bills. So I like to learning something new, and I have to sit in my apartment maybe the rest of my life alone. So I like to learning something new. So this is why I read all this. Takes a long time to read. So just read a little bit every day. Just lay in my bed, look Netflix my whole day. I can do that later, and YouTube. I can do that in the evening. But I cannot do that like 10 a.m. in the morning to midnight. So no, I've not been reading many years. I've not been reading books like more than 20 years, so I like to start again to read. I've not read a normal book like 20 years. So now I read Wikipedia. No, I like to learn something new. I don't like to read some kind of fantasy book. I like to learning something new about some subject.
Thermonuclear weapon. A basic diagram of a thermonuclear weapon.
Yes.
Some designs use spherical secondaries.
Stop.
Fission primary stage. Fusion secondary stage.
Of course, I forgot to put the speakers up. Because I'm so sleepy every day. I'm very sleepy. Every morning I'm very sleepy.
Thermonuclear weapon. A basic diagram of a thermonuclear weapon. Note. Some designs use spherical secondaries. Fission primary stage. Fusion secondary stage. High explosive lenses. Uranium-238, tamper, lined with beryllium reflector. Vacuum, levitated core. Tritium boost gas, blue, within plutonium or uranium hollow core. Radiation channel filled with polystyrene foam. Uranium, pusher forward/tamper. Lithium-6 deuteride, fusion fuel. Plutonium, spark plug. Radiation case, confines thermal X-rays by reflection. A thermonuclear weapon, fusion weapon or hydrogen bomb, is a second-generation nuclear weapon design. Its greater sophistication affords it vastly greater destructive power than first-generation nuclear bombs, a more compact size, a lower mass, or a combination of these benefits. Characteristics of nuclear fusion reactions make possible the use of non-fissile depleted uranium as the weapon's main fuel. thus allowing more efficient use of scarce fissile materials such as uranium-235, 235U, or plutonium-239, 239Pu. First full-scale thermonuclear test was carried out by the United States in 1952. The concept has since been employed by most of the world's nuclear powers in the design of their weapons. 1. Modern fusion weapons consist essentially of two main components: a nuclear fission primary stage, fueled by 235U or 239Pu, and a separate nuclear fusion secondary stage containing thermonuclear fuel, the heavy hydrogen isotopes deuterium and tritium, or in modern weapons lithium deuteride. For this reason, thermonuclear weapons are often colloquially called hydrogen bombs or H-bombs. Note 1. A fusion explosion begins with the detonation of the fission primary stage. Its temperature soars past approximately 100 million Kelvin, causing it to glow intensely with thermal X-rays. These X-rays flood the void, the radiation channel often filled with polystyrene foam, between the primary and secondary assemblies placed within an enclosure called a radiation case, which confines the X-ray energy and assists its outward pressure. The distance separating the two assemblies ensures that debris fragments from the fission primary, which move much more slowly than X-ray photons, cannot disassemble the secondary before the fusion explosion runs to completion. The secondary fusion stage, consisting of outer pusher forward/tamper, fusion fuel filler and central plutonium spark plug, is imploded by the X-ray energy impinging on its pusher forward/tamper. This compresses the entire secondary stage and drives up the density of the plutonium spark plug. The density of the plutonium fuel rises to such an extent that the spark plug is driven into a supercritical state, and it begins a nuclear fission chain reaction. The fission products of this chain reaction heat the highly compressed, and thus super-dense, thermonuclear fuel surrounding the spark plug to around 300 million Kelvin, igniting fusion reactions between fusion fuel nuclei. In modern weapons fueled by lithium deuteride, the fissioning plutonium spark plug also emits free neutrons that collide with lithium nuclei and supply the tritium component of the thermonuclear fuel. The secondary's relatively massive tamper, which resists outward expansion as the explosion proceeds, also serves as a thermal barrier to keep the fusion fuel filler from becoming too hot, which would spoil the compression. If made of uranium, enriched uranium or plutonium, the tamper captures fast fusion neutrons and undergoes fission itself, increasing the overall explosive yield. Additionally, in most designs the radiation case is also constructed of a fissile material that undergoes fission driven by fast thermonuclear neutrons. Such bombs are classified as two-stage weapons, and most current tellur-ulam designs are such fission-fusion fission weapons. Fast fission of the tamper and radiation case is the main contribution to the total yield and is dominant process that produces radioactive fission product fallout. 2. 3. Before Ivy Mike, the first U.S. test of a weapon design, Operation Greenhouse in 1951, was the first American nuclear test series to test principles that led to the development of thermonuclear weapons. Sufficient fission was achieved to boost the associated fusion device, and enough was learned to achieve a full-scale device within a year. The design of all modern thermonuclear weapons in the United States is known as the Teller-Ulam configuration for its two chief contributors, Edward Teller and Stanislaw Ulam, who developed it in 1951 for the United States, with certain concepts developed with the contribution of physicist John von Neumann. Similar devices were developed by the Soviet Union, United Kingdom, France, China and India. 5. The thermonuclear Tsar bomber was the most powerful bomb ever detonated. 6. As thermonuclear weapons represent the most efficient design for weapon energy yield in weapons with yields above 50 kilotons of TNT, 210 TJ. Virtually all the nuclear weapons of this size deployed by the 5 nuclear weapon states under the Non-Proliferation Treaty today are thermonuclear weapons using the Teller-Ulam design. 7. Public knowledge concerning nuclear weapon design. Edward Teller in 1958 detailed knowledge of fission and fusion weapons is classified to some degree in virtually every industrialized country. In the United States, such knowledge can by default be classified as restricted data, even if it is created by persons who are not government employees or associated with weapons programs, in a legal doctrine known as Born Secret, though the constitutional standing of the doctrine has been at times called into question. See United States v. Progressive, Inc. Born Secret is rarely invoked for cases of private speculation. The official policy of the United States Department of Energy has been not to acknowledge the leaking of design information, as such acknowledgement would potentially validate the information as accurate. In a small number of prior cases, the U.S. government has attempted to censor weapons information in the public press, with limited success. 8. According to the New York Times, physicist Kenneth W. Ford defied government orders to remove classified information from his book, Building the H-Bomb, A Personal History. Ford claims he used only pre-existing information and even submitted a manuscript to the government, which wanted to remove entire sections of the book for concern that foreign states could use the information. 9. Though large quantities of vague data have been officially released, and larger quantities of vague data have been unofficially leaked by former bomb designers, most public descriptions of nuclear weapon design details rely to some degree on speculation, reverse engineering from known information, or comparison with similar fields of physics. Inertial confinement fusion is the primary example. Such processes have resulted in a body of unclassified knowledge about nuclear bombs that is generally consistent with official unclassified information releases and related physics and is thought to be internally consistent, though there are some points of interpretation that are still considered open. The state of public knowledge about the Teller-Ulam design has been mostly shaped from a few specific incidents outlined in a section below. Basic principle. The basic principle of the Teller-Ulam configuration is the idea that different parts of a thermonuclear weapon can be chained together in stages, with the detonation of each stage providing the energy to ignite the next stage. At a bare minimum, this implies a primary section that consists of an implosion-type fission bomb, a trigger, and a secondary section that consists of fusion fuel. The energy released by the primary compresses secondary through the process of radiation implosion, at which point it is heated and undergoes nuclear fusion. This process could be continued, with energy from the secondary igniting a third fusion stage. The Soviet Union's N-602 Tsar bomber is thought to have been a three-stage fission-fusion device. Theoretically, by continuing this process, thermonuclear weapons with arbitrarily high yield could be constructed. This contrasts with fission weapons, which are limited in yield because only so much fission fuel can be amassed in one place before the danger of its accidentally becoming supercritical becomes too great. One possible version of the Teller-Ulam configuration surrounding the other components is a hull room or radiation case, a container that traps the first stage or primary's energy inside temporarily. The outside office radiation case, which is also normally the outside casing of the bomb, is the only direct visual evidence publicly available of any thermonuclear bomb component's configuration. Numerous photographs of various thermonuclear bomb exteriors have been declassified. 10. The primary is thought to be a standard implosion method fission bomb, though likely with a core boosted by small amounts of fusion fuel, usually 50%-50% deuterium/tritium gas. For extra efficiency, the fusion fuel releases excess neutrons when heated and compressed, inducing additional fission. When fired, the 239Pu or 235U core would be compressed to a smaller sphere by special layers of conventional high explosives arranged around it in an explosive lens pattern, initiating the nuclear chain reaction that powers the conventional atomic bomb. The secondary is usually shown as a column of fusion fuel and other components wrapped in many layers. Around the column is first a pusher tamper, a heavy layer of uranium-238. 238U, or lead that helps compress the fusion fuel, and, in the case